People say the United States is the greatest country in the world. I don't know about that. Maybe one time it was the greatest country in the world, when one person could be working a full-time job, one man could be working a full-time job. He could have a stay-at-home wife. He could have, a couple kids. He could have his house. He could have his car. He could go on vacation every now and again off of one full-time job. Now we're so far from that. Two people working full-time, it's still very difficult to get by. Like, I talk to people and they're like, man, you got all these people coming over from other countries. That's because the US is the greatest country in the world. I'm like, those are the poorest people from those countries. The reason why they come here is because they know they could easily get food, easily get, taken care of, but just wait until they become citizens. They're not going to be taken care of as much as they are when they're not citizens. They lure them over here with the promises and whatever they hear about how great it is over here. And of course, you got to be grateful for what you have. I'm happy to have, a roof over my head and food on the table. And there's a lot of things to be grateful for. But at the same time, it's like, I can't really claim this is the greatest country in the world when you have the president of Brazil coming out and saying he regrets giving these pharma companies immunity from getting sued, and that he feels bad for all the people that, got vaccine injured and the people that died from getting the shot. You don't have any leader here in the US coming out and saying that these things are bad for us and that they regret, the whole immunity thing. There's like no leaders here doing that. It's a consensus based system here in the US. Education, medical, medicine, media, all these big organizations, it's consensus based. So what that means is a small group of people at the very top say what every single organization in the country does, what the protocol is for education, for media, for medicine. And these organizations have to follow along or they get destroyed, they get wiped out. These people who come out and try to do alternative medicine, when it's the medicine we've been using for thousands of years, it's the real medicine. Homeopathic medicine, they lose their license, they lose their reputation, they lose everything by trying to help people, like by actually trying to help people by being honest and truthful. They actually lose everything here in the US. So basically, companies have to follow along. It's consensus based. It's BS. It shouldn't be like that. It should be, whatever the company thinks is best for its clients, whatever the school thinks is best for its students, whatever the media thinks is best for the people who are watching them. They should have a say. It shouldn't be controlled by, a few people at the very top. That is what's making this country less than number one. It could be the best. The US could be the best if we got rid of that consensus based, if we got rid of, this censorship that they're doing, because we're losing our rights. We're losing our rights. And people say, oh, well, why don't you go to another country? Well, maybe one day I will. My dad was born in Mexico, and so that makes me a national of Mexico. So I may have to go there one day, depending on if the U.S. keeps going down this path. Hopefully, there's enough people that will stand up, and we could be great as we once were. But at this moment, I can't agree that the U.S. is the greatest country in the world, because, like I said, a lot of truth gets hidden, and these lies and this evil is what's being promoted. I mean, you have, they're just allowing criminals to run free, like criminals are incentivized. You have politicians saying, oh, well, these criminals, they're just getting what they're owed. Like, you literally have politicians. You have politicians freaking twerking upside down on freaking camera. You have a president who I don't even really need to say anything. You know as well as I do, the dude is like not all there. Either he's not all there, or he is, and he's just playing a fool. As a distraction, he's playing a fool. Like maybe he really knows what he's doing. He's smarter than what he's letting on, and he's really a bad person. But anyway, all these things show you that the US is not what it used to be. I mean, inflation is going crazy. Women weren't able to get formula for their babies yet, like in other countries like Mexico and all these other places. They had plenty of formula. Uh, the gas prices are a lot lower in Mexico. Apparently, the president of Mexico is like, if these people from the U.S. want to come over and fill up, that's fine by me. Come over here, fill up your car, and then you can go back. So it's like all these things that are going on. They're promoting mental illness. Like they're promoting it. They're letting people with mental illness control the narrative. And I don't know what's going on. I don't know what they're trying to accomplish. They're trying to, cause fighting. They're trying to cause who knows what, divide and conquer, all these things. So it's just getting worse and worse. Inflation's going crazy. Gas prices are going crazy. And it wouldn't be as bad if we were used to it, if we were used to, not being, I guess, not having everything at our fingertips, not having everything easy, not having everything cheap. But that's what happened. They pulled the rug out from underneath us. It's like these entertainers, these kids that grow up with all this money and they're being waited on hand and foot and treated like kings and queens. And all of a sudden they get older and they're not wanted anymore. That's got to be the worst, because you go from everything to nothing. And that's kind of like what's going on here. Everything was so easy for us, everything was cheap, and now they pull the rug out from under us, and now everything's very difficult, a lot more difficult. People, struggling, people losing their businesses, their jobs. I mean, they said that the small businesses and the people, the average people lost, I guess the 99% lost, like 300 trillion within these past 2.5 years. And the people at the top, the very rich, the 1%, gained 300 trillion. So it's like, it's going crazy. They printed out more money in the past 2 years than they have in the past who knows how long. 80% of the money in the circulation was all printed in the past 2.5 years. So the value of the dollar is going down. Everything, this country is just going downhill. And people say, oh, well, the people are coming from other countries. Like I said, that's like the poorest of the poor, where they know they can get some, some food scraps or whatever. And I bet you a lot of them probably end up going back because how bad it is. And then wait until they become citizens, and then all their rights are going to be taken away, and they're not going to be treated like they are by being immigrants. And they don't realize that. And yeah, this country ain't what it used to be. And hopefully I won't have to run to Mexico. Hopefully there's enough people that will stand up. Hopefully all these, these food processing plants that have been catching on fire and being destroyed, and these tankers that are just like crashing in the road, and all these coincidences of all these things that are just like moving forward this agenda. Like whenever they want something magically happens to make this agenda move forward. And that's what's going on. And hopefully we could fight back. Hopefully people are growing their own food. Hopefully people are waking up. They're not so distracted with just what the MSN mainstream TV is telling them, which there are a lot of people, a lot of my family are don't see what's going on in the world. They don't see what's going on in this country and the direction it's going, and they think actually that the future looks bright. And I'm just like, wow, okay, if you say so. I could only do as much as I can and try to help as much as I can. I'm not saying run around saying the sky is falling, but at least know what's going on. Don't just believe everything that the mainstream says. Look at other alternate, other sources of information besides the mainstream, because what the mainstream is trying to do is trying to distract everybody and keep people from knowing the truth, which is actually really horrible. Because if something does bad happen, all these people that they've been leading to believe that everything's okay and everything's going to be great are going to be, in the worst shape than anybody. So I hope and I pray that enough people stand up and we fight back and don't allow them to take any more of our rights. But like I said, I'm grateful for having food on my table, having a roof over my head, and I just wish I could have seen what was coming, way back when, and worked completely in a different direction, not believing that this fantasy is real, like, oh yeah, everything's going to be great forever, and we're going to be able to, eat, drink, and be merry for the rest of our lives, and there's going to be no problems. But the education system as well, it's shit. And that's what apparently the greatest country of the world, and our education is shit. It's all propaganda now. They pretty much put it in our faces of what they're teaching the kids, all sexual, all change your gender, all these things. And they don't really care what happens after, because what's going to happen after is these kids are going to be like, whoa, what happened? Why am I unhappy? Why am I, why do I feel so bad? Why did I do this? They don't care about that. They're just trying to get these kids to make the decision now. That's all they need to do is make the decision now, because they don't care about later on. The kids don't realize later on they're gonna regret. Many of them are gonna regret what they did, and hopefully they realize they were actually being pushed that direction. But education is crap. Medical industry is crap. We're the most prescribed country in the world. We're the most unhealthy country in the world. We do the least amount of exercise. We play probably the most amount of video games. It's like this. How is that the greatest country in the world? Like, I would consider the greatest country in the world to be like the most healthy, the country that works out the most, the country that teaches the kids about money, teaches the kids about taxes, wants to help their people, allows homeopathic medicine, allows other, thoughts, doesn't try to censor. That would be the greatest country in the world. The one that keeps, the currency backed by something of actual value. Like when we had the money on the gold standard, that would tell you that is the greatest country in the world. Like before 1971, because now that the dollar's not backed by anything of value, the printing presses are going nonstop. They could print out as much money as they want. Of course, it's going to make inflation go up, and they're going to blame it on Putin and Russia and all that. But when the value of the dollar goes down, inflation goes up. $20, what $20 buys you today bought you a lot more stuff, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So everything is just going downhill in this country very, very fast. And like Robert Kiyosaki said, the bull market and the bear market, when there's a bull market, the stock markets are climbing. And when there's a bear market, the stock market is dipping. So he was saying the bulls go up the stairs, the bull goes up the stairs, so it takes a long time to get to the top. The bear jumps out the window. So it happens like that. When everything crashes, it crashes fast. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think this is the best country in the world? maybe once upon a time, but let me know what you guys think. Do you think it still is? And do you think we can make it the best once again? We'll see. Let me know. Thank you for watching. Take care. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you again later. Bye.